All right. We are back. Welcome back to the Homies Hub. It's your boy Mosa here with another video for you. If you don't already know, our channel is facing deletion. So what I would recommend is if you're watching this video, make sure you hop into the Discord in case we do have to start over or go to other platforms. Already know that we have already started that process. So I appreciate you guys. Show love, hit the like button, subscribe, but most importantly, hit the Discord because we might not be here much longer. All right, with that being said, we are 30 days in. Well, at least from the time of this recording, we're about 28 days in, 29 days in. But I'm going to basically say we have officially been in Colombia out of the country for 30 days. I've never done anything like that, but I do love this. I have loved this experience every day that I've been out here. And with that being said, there's a couple of points that I would like to go over about being out here. And for starters, I already know there's going to be a bunch of Colombian dudes, non-black dudes, coming under this post to try to discredit everything I'm saying. Honestly, I just think they're just passive aggressive attacks. People don't like seeing black people travel out of the country and then give their opinion on things. My experience is going to be much different than your experience. Assuming what I'm doing or what I'm not doing enough of when you're not around me on a day-to-day basis is completely ridiculous. So for all of you guys that's going to come on here and comment some BS, respectfully, you can kick rocks. Okay, so let's start with this. The more time you spend in Colombia, and I would say in an excess of a week, if you're here for longer than a week, right? Here for 2 weeks, you're 3 weeks, you're 30 days, you'll start to feel more relaxed and more trusting of people, which is a trusting thing to do, right? That's a human thing to do. But in fact, it's not safe. And your complacency will start to get tested, especially when it comes to women. And I'm talking about women that you're meeting outside and, your regular tourist areas, the ones you're meeting at the park, talking about parky areas, and the ones you're meeting off Tinder and other dating apps, any dating app, even if it's Facebook, you know, Instagram. Um, your complacency will definitely get tested. And I'll go into that in some later points. You're constantly being watched by locals, whether you realize it or not. Once you're staying in a local area and the locals realize that you are a local, other locals will instantly know that you are a foreigner. Sorry, that you're not a local. They will notify each other, they will let each other know. You have to keep in mind this is a country where most of the people in this country are Colombian. Versus if you're coming from the United States or the UK, we're used to being a melting pot. So we don't really think too much about seeing a foreigner. Obviously back in the hood, you're gonna think a little bit hard about seeing a foreigner. They don't really, they notice you. You stick out like a sore thumb. Okay. Um, you will start seeing that you're spending more money than what you usually need to compared to the average Colombian. And this is most likely because you're going to keep being nudged to engage in activities that aren't really logical or activities that just keep you active out the house. You know what I mean? You probably don't have a job you have to go to every day. You probably don't have family that you need to see every day. So you got to do something to keep yourself moving. And as you start keeping yourself moving, you're going to start interacting more and more with people that are going to try to upsell you on things or convince you that you might need a certain kind of service. Very, very subtle nudging. That's what a nudge is. It's a very subtle little, kind of elbow nudge that gets you to spend money. You got to be careful. You also got to be careful about where you're going and who you're hanging with, right? Because now the experience for men in Colombia is much different than it is for women. And I know it's very easy to be judgmental. I see tons of threads on Reddit and stuff like that, like, oh, you're not even that attractive. Why else would you think a baddie would want to hang with you? Or them saying they don't feel bad about men being drugged out there. Um, as a human being, as a man, especially if you're solo traveling, you're gonna feel that need to connect. And because you're bred in American culture, you're going to have habits like that when you come here, like going on dating apps to see if you can find a girl. It's very different out here. Tinder is very different. Bumble is very different. Back inside the States, you might be able to find a girl that you can make your girlfriend or your wife. Over here, 99.99% of these women or apps are looking for gringos so that they can take their money. They don't have it in them to seriously date you or take you serious. That's not something that they do. And that goes into my next point. The chicas, the vendors, and the locals do not respect your money. They absolutely do not respect your money. The only place where I have had an honest cash transaction, if I'm being totally honest, has been chain restaurants where it's not going to be easy or make sense on camera for someone to be pocketing your money. I will literally go and be looking at the prices when I go to a local old family store of something that is supposed to cost me 20 something pesos and they'll be up to 30, 40 pesos. And I'm sitting there trying to understand why. And sometimes they play this game where they didn't properly understand what it is that you meant or said, but they're not going to sit there and make and drop the price for you or redo the order for you. Even if it doesn't cost them anything, it's the fact that you're an American or a foreigner, you have more money than them. So you have to shoulder the liability of me wanting to, spend more money or need more money or, they just do not respect your money out here. Then don't get me started. Oh, and before I go into that, uh, paying with cash is just a great way to get robbed. And if you weren't watching that Tarjeto Contacto Electrónico, they will enter prices that exceed that 5%. And that 5% is universal. So if you're paying 25% more, understand that you are getting head cracked. And that is a terminology I say when you are paying way more, over two, three times more than what you should be paying for. And that brings me into my next point. People, not just girls off Tinder and girls off the street, but people and chicas will pester you to buy them things, drinks. Even if you set boundaries, your boundaries will constantly be tested. Out here, I realize, especially when you're dealing with women, and I hate to say it, but you almost have to walk them with a leash when you're hanging around them because they will try you. They will, if you take a girl out, you bring her up to the bar, you tell her to order something, she'll order the most expensive thing on the menu. Or you want to hang out with a girl and her friends and you got some friends, if you don't tell them exactly, or better yet, order for them, ask them what they want to order and you actually make that order. They'll order things and they'll say, hey, can we get this, hey, can we get that, and you'll be looking there like, I just paid your Uber, I just paid this, I just paid that, and you're still asking me for stuff. And best believe at the end of the night they will still try to ask you for money. Okay, so setting your boundaries is a really big thing. Another thing is, and it's not just like I'm telling. I hired professional assistants off of Upwork that I ended up meeting up with. And once they start bringing their friends along and family along, they will extort you. It doesn't matter what class they're in. As long as they don't have respect for foreigners and your money, you are better off hanging out with women and people that are of a higher class, but they will definitely look at you to foot the bill, even if they can fully afford it themselves. That is just the way they operate over here. No, it's not everyone. I'm not saying it's everybody, so don't go ahead dropping those comments in my video. I'm just saying from my experience, a lot of people do not respect your money here. But also, when you're dating and you start meeting girls, especially off these dating apps, a lot of them, once you get tired of dealing with the working women, you will tell them, hey, I'm not looking for hourly love, or I'm not looking for workers, I'm looking for a regular girl. And a lot of these girls will use that to prey on you. They will prey on you for wanting to have a regular girl, and they will pretend to be regular girls. And you have two types of girls. You have the girls that's really plotting on robbing and drugging you at some point in time, or you have the girl who all right, we can hang out. We're just friends, but the second you guys do what humans do, that's spend intimate time with each other in each other's Airbnbs or hotels, that's when it's suddenly a price comes up. And you're just thinking to yourself, well, you already told me that you were a regular girl. So where does this price thing come up now? Why do I now suddenly have to pay you money for us to do what humans do? Not to mention, it's not like she's coming over with sweatpants and jeans on. She's coming over with booty shorts, butt cheeks hanging out. She's doing everything to entice you to want to have sex with her immediately. And then she'll say, oh, I don't know you. I can't have sex with a foreigner. I don't know what I'm going to get out of that. It's all manipulation, all of it. It's not an honest concern. From day one, she was plotting on getting you into her thirst trap so she can try to get money out of you and convince you and herself that she's not a sex worker. I cannot tell you how many times I've ran into this in Colombia, in Cartagena, and in Medellin. I'm not going to say it's the whole of Colombia, right? I think it's mainly the places where tourists are at, but I'm telling you that it's happening on a rate of millions per capita. So you really got to be careful. I just totally recommend just staying off the dating apps. I did used to endorse the dating apps, and I do if you're on a really short visit. But if you're here for a long term and eventually you're going to get tired of the fast life and how the women act, you really want to stay away from women the longer you're here. And I know that it's kind of the opposite of why people come to Colombia, but trust me, you definitely do. You want to do some strong scouting. Find one girl that you probably don't mind spending a little bit of money on and kind of just focus on what it is that you're here to do. But dating wise, finding love out here, I don't know. I don't think it's easy for people that come from an American culture. Hookup culture does not exist here. And I'm going to keep saying that in all my videos. Hookup culture is for locals who don't have resources. Yes, they can afford to hook up. It's not something that is for an American dude. It's just no, it's not gonna happen. Um, but yeah, being generous. Next point. Being generous is probably the dumbest thing you can do out here. Generosity just means you have cash to burn. Think of it like Bill Gates coming to the hood or, to your neighborhood after you saw he was donating $100 million per month to random causes, right? Underwater Basket Weaving Association, 100 million. You're going to think to yourself, dog, you can def hold me down with 1 million, especially if you say you want to hang out with me. You're interested in hanging out with me. So, man, I got a lot of things I'm thinking about. You can just alleviate all that pressure off of me. And let's say he does. Let's say he gives you 1 million, right? But he only did that because he felt like you pressured him into giving you something that he may have given you over time. Maybe he was just testing your loyalty or testing your longevity, which a lot of us men do when we come out here. And you know, would you care to hang out with Bill Gates if he said he's not giving you that million and he never gave you that million? Well, knowing you, you probably would hang out with Bill Gates, right? Not Bill Gates particularly, but just anyone that's in that tax bracket because you understand longevity and investing in yourself and the power of network. These women do not understand that. They think in short term spurts when it comes to foreigners, and there's literally nothing you can try to do to establish longevity with them other than literally just establishing longevity of tricking. Which brings me to my next point. Poor mentalities equal poor results. These women do not invest in foreigners. It's taboo. So believing in your promises mean nothing. And I've heard many women say this to me as well. You can promise everything. Men always come here and promise stuff, but it doesn't mean that they're honestly going to keep their promise. And this is going to affect how you're going to operate because now you're going to understand that most of these interactions you're having with women, even if they're not working women, the women don't really have longevity in mind for it unless her mentality is different, which has to do with her upbringing and her education level. Poor mentalities breed poor results. Some of these women are not going to ask you for money up front, but they're going to want you to spend that money on them. They're going to want you to take them places where you're spending more money than what they earn in a given month. And, because this is probably something you wouldn't do in the States, you'll do it out here. You're more generous out here. You want to be Daddy Warbucks out here because you're thinking to yourself, these women are poor, but she's beautiful. It's the same thing. It's the same thing everywhere. Coming out here being stupidly generous is just one of the worst things that you could do because you would be taken advantage of. So I've covered all of my points. Now, being out here for 30 days, I will say this also. You'll start naturally losing weight. You'll start walking around a little bit more, and you'll definitely start finding more content that has to do with just being out here. You can participate in the party culture, which I don't recommend, even though I've been doing it on a daily basis. You're just burning cash, and eventually you're going to find your resources drying up if you don't have consistent income. Number one. Um, Number two, the more I'm out here, the more I see there's certain things I just don't have to wear. Like I don't have to put on my earrings. I haven't worn any of my chains at all. I might have put it on one day and I never put them back on, just because you don't want to give people that kind of impression. When you're staying somewhere with front desk security and you bring girls back a lot, they will definitely talk about you a lot, and they'll be watching you, and you really have to be very aware of your surroundings. The people that are able to stay out here and be incident free are usually not participating in party and fast life culture. This country is really family focused, neighborhood focused. You know what I mean? So the partying, the hanging out with random women you don't know is not something common of these guys to do. And the guys that do tend to entertain that type of lifestyle are usually poor. So you can see the most immediate results of bad choices when you come to Colombia. But besides that, the country's beautiful. I love the country. I love the freedom that I have out here. But I will say that when I know that there's basically a compartmentalization of where most Colombians will place me in their mind, it makes me a little uncomfortable about staying out here long term, especially for long term visits, if I'm not already established out here. I think being out here, naturally, I'm becoming more cold hearted. And I'm really seeing that you have to draw really strong boundaries when it comes to certain people because naturally they just do not have the respect level that I'm used to. Um, but outside of that, people are definitely willing to help you more. You're like a miniature celebrity when you're out here because the people assume you have money and you have resources. And of course, you do compared to them. Even if you don't have a job, you're probably able to, at least for me, I'm able to earn money at a faster rate than they're able to earn money. So they're not really super willing to cut deals with you when they know you're a foreigner. So just be careful of that. Your rent can go anywhere from 500 a month randomly to 800 just because they think that you have it. So I would be very, very careful. And like I said, when you're out here and you're navigating, you have to draw really strong lines in the sand. If you're going to do contract things like renting an apartment, make sure you negotiate rental increase, right? A lot of stuff like that. Negotiate your interactions with the chicas, let them know what it is and what it's not. And if it goes any way that you don't want it to, that you're not going to compensate. You know what I mean? And that's kind of just how you have to operate out here because if not, you will get ran over. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll be keeping you guys updated with these videos. We're going to try to keep the content clean for now, see if we can keep the channel going. But if you haven't already, hop in the Discord. All the uncut content will be in the Patreon. So that'll be more vlogs with less editing. You can see more of the interactions out here and how I'm going about things and answering some of the questions that you guys have. And feel free also to hit the Homies Hub site for travel consultations. If you do plan on coming out here, places to stay, places to eat, things to do and not to do. Thank you guys for watching.